Hi everyone, welcome to our first TWiP Live here in the new Pixel Core studios. I'm here with Frederick Johnson.
Hello.
You hear him a lot. You don't get to see him very often.
Never get to see him.
And also Derrick Story,
Yes.
who is local.
I am.
So we're going to have you over a lot.
I'm a Sonoma County boy.
Sonoma County. So this is an easy little.
Oh, I'm down here anyway.
Yeah. So we're going to have you come down and play with us more often here.
Yeah. Well, this is a great place. My gosh.
We're kind of having some fun, aren't we?
Yeah.
We got a lot of curtains.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, and apparently behind this curtain is a green screen, so we can be Superman if we want, and do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So
So there's we put in a full site. Maybe after the show we'll pull away the curtains so that you guys can
nice.
so you can see it.
Do some Lord of the Rings action back there.
We're thinking about it. We're thinking forced perspective. Like forced perspective would be kind of a fun one.
That's awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking now. So anyway, so we're so if you're watching and you're watching live, there is an IRC that you can find on pixelcore.com/live. You can also, if you want to just ask questions and you just want to do Twitter, you don't want to figure this out. If you just Twitter and make sure to include at Pixelcore, PIXELCORPS. If you just do a Twitter at Pixelcore, Carolyn will see it. Carolyn, it's kind of funny. Okay, so just so you understand what's going on, Carolyn is in Toronto. Carolyn is watching your questions, your comments, so on and so forth. Then she is on Skype with me. Isn't this the wonders of technology?
It's a distributed workforce.
Yes. And so she's giving me. We've got little questions that are coming in
through your fancy iPad 2,
through my
right
iPad
there.
2 is so anyway. So we're and this is all experiment. We're constantly playing with it. This is the second time we've streamed here, so there probably will be some technical issues. Just let you know. Just one of those things.
told me that we were the first one.
The first TWiP Live.
Oh.
Yes. So last week we did Final Cut X discussion, and we did a 2-hour discussion. 2,000 people came to join us.
Wow.
And
virtually, not in the studio.
Well, and that's the whole thing. If Kevin, if you throw over the little audience cam, you'll see if you look over there, you'll see a bunch of empty chairs. Those eventually might be you.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is
one of those chairs has your butt
and
written on it.
by the way, they're really nice chairs.
You know, I spent a lot of money on those chairs.
This week. We're not talking.
Those are brand new.
We're not talking about go to the auditorium at the grade school kind
those
of chairs.
are nice chairs.
Well, now
they're like our chairs right here, aren't they?
Yeah, no, they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
We are threatening to actually get theater chairs and have like a little theater.
A little riser back there?
Make a little riser. We're just trying to figure out how to assemble it quickly and disassemble
You
it.
even have lighting over there for the audience.
I do have a request of being rather on the tall side. Don't put them too close together. No.
Right.
Because what happens, and the guy keeps turning, that I'm sitting behind, he turns around, he gets, and we'd hate to have something bad.
Just gotta get like a 10-inch rise,
Yeah,
and
that'd
then
be
we'll
good.
be, and so that's the, anyway, so we're working on it. What we're gonna do is as we start to move this forward, we're gonna start inviting people. So the idea is that we'll have some folks from TWiP, we'll have some folks from Pixel Core, and then we'll have a handful of listeners. We'll do some kind of drawing, we'll figure it all out, so stay tuned. Now make sure that you're following Pixel Core to hear announcements that are going out there. Of course, Frederick Ban, and Derrick, when he's on, will be announcing it. I'll be announcing it, Alex, Lindsay. The one that is the most serious of the bunch is Pixel Core. There's not a lot of... I can't say that my tweets are always serious.
Serious as in there's no fluff there. Like you're saying ours are full of fluff?
No, mine's full of fluff. I'm saying mine's full of fluff. Mine is a very...
I don't tweet about my cat, Alex. I don't tweet about my cat.
I don't have a cat. If I had a cat, I would probably tweet about it all the time.
Yeah, don't get a cat. Stay away from the kitties.
So if you have questions, we're going to get going. If you have questions, put them up there. Now, it can be about what we're talking about, but it can also be about, pretty much anything.
Almost anything. Almost anything.
Well, anything about photography.
Yes.
We're going to try to keep this like in a box called photography, but that's a big box.
It is big.
So if you've got questions about photography, these guys are the guys to answer.
We should name this month in photography since we're doing this once a month.
Well, it's just TWiP Live.
Yeah.
I
like TWiP Live though. TWiP Live is good.
TWiP Live.
I like it.
So anyway, so that's what's going on. We hope you're enjoying it, and then Carolyn, just start posting these as they come up, and so anyway, so the first thing I think we're going to do is we're going to look at some hardware.
Yes.
Derrick.
Oh, yes,
awesome.
yes.
Derrick brought me a gift. It's so nice of him.
Should we set it up?
You should set it up.
Yeah.
So
look at that thing.
What is
this?
That's
the object of my desire. That's what.
So this was see, this is the advantage of timing. This was just announced today. Today.
This is today.
This
is
today.
a TWiP Live exclusive.
It is.
Yep.
It is. Absolutely is. So this is a micro 4/3 camera. It's the third generation from Olympus.
How did you get one so quickly? If it was just it was
He's Derrick's story.
today?
That's how.
Oh, he's Derrick's story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Frederick knows Frederick.
Yeah.
So, and this is the EP3. EP3. So this is their top of the line model. They have two other models that they announced today, a consumer level and kind of a mid level. But this is the big daddy here. This is a 12 megapixel camera. They use the micro 4/3 sensor, which is a little bit smaller than APS, but a heck of a lot bigger than anything you see in the little compact cameras.
Right.
And I think what got me excited about the bodies is very, very cool. They improved the auto focusing. They put a touch screen on the back. There's all sorts of good stuff going on.
It looks like a camera. I mean,
but this here, this guy right here, this lens,
the lens
right there, that is a 12 millimeter f2 prime lens. Now, the way that micro 4/3 works is that you just double the focal length, and that gives you kind of what you're used to in full frame. So this is a 24 millimeter f2 lens. And it is, as you can see, it is just beautiful. It is a beautiful lens. It's machined, and it has this very neat thing. You notice something that we don't see very much these days.
Yeah, the f-stop indicators on there.
You have scale, and then it has this thing called snap focus. So if you move this back, then you actually have a focus. And now, Alex, go ahead and just feel the quality, as we would say, there.
That's so nice.
Would
you like to try?
I would like to.
Absolutely.
I would like to. Oh, that's brilliant.
And so you can set your depth of field scale. Now, one of the things, it shoots full resolution HD video, and 1080. So one of the things that I'm looking forward to trying with this, and also they announced a 45 millimeter f1.8 prime lens today too, which would be 90 millimeters, is actually doing the thing where you're shooting HD, you have that shallow depth of field, and then with this nice focusing, you can like move from one point to another while you're recording and really do some professional stuff.
Right. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Records the SD?
Yes. SD cards.
Records to iFi.
Yeah.
I'm kind of obsessed with iFi.
Are you really?
I like the idea of being able to publish while I'm shooting.
Now, if you're not really a viewfinder kind of,
as you might imagine,
if you're not
we should talk about. So what are your well, we'll finish this, then we'll talk about.
Okay.
iFi.
Okay.
If you're not a viewfinder kind of guy, I think I got that in there. Then you can go with this.
Look at that thing.
You go with a little.
I'm sorry, but you are James Bond. You are just.
Well, in this case, they're James Bond.
Look
no,
at
I guess
that.
I'm James Bond because
Yeah,
they're the smart
Q.
people that. Yeah, they're
Q.
Yeah,
you are James Bond.
They gave it to me. Should we turn it on? Oh yeah, and now so you just press this button right here, and that switches you.
So you press
that.
Press
and,
this.
and that'll switch it. Now you're there. It
It's
has a
insane.
little diopter, so you can kind of get it just the way you want. So really handy. You know, I love shooting off an LCD screen when the conditions are nice. It's fun to see it, but when you're out in bright light, there's a lot of situations where I think the LCD is not practical. You know, you need.
I miss doing this.
Can I tell you what? This is 10 years ago. 10 years ago when there was no LCDs. I remember being at Alcatraz and these Japanese tourists were all walking around shooting with their camera like this, and I was like, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen. We're never going to do that.
And here you are back in the
here
future.
we are.
Anyway, so this is awesome. So what's the price?
So they have the kit. They actually have a kit lens that goes with this, and that's going to be $899 for. And this is basic.
For the pair.
Yeah, for the pair. So this is basically a 20.
Raw?
20. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Serious raw.
It's not supported yet, though, right?
By who? It's supported by Olympus.
Yeah, exactly. But by anybody whose tools I use.
No. So as we all know, the way this works, Adobe will have support before Apple.
Yeah,
and then
right.
Apple supports these cameras, so then Apple, and when they batch things up a little bit more. So
does Final Cut Pro 10 support that? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I kid.
Actually, it does.
It does. Yeah. What's the file format that the video comes out?
Well, they have two different formats. They use the old Motion JPEG, but then they also have the new compressed one. What is it?
ABC HD.
ABC HD.
Yeah. So you can choose. You can choose.
Cool.
So how much is the lens?
$799.
It's not as much as the camera, but it's like that's the kind of lens you're buying.
That's the
$16,
kind of
$17, $1,800. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I'm excited about with the Olympus and Panasonic and all that, they're all now, we're far enough along to where we're getting serious prime lenses. I mean, we started out and we had, everything
was kind of cute.
Yeah, and we got all the lenses that they sort of have to do, like the zoom lenses here.
Right.
We had to have all of that. But now at third generation, Panasonic and Olympus and Sony, they're all coming out now with some serious glass. I mean, glass that makes photographers excited.
Yeah. So Derrick, when would I want to use this though? Because I'm still in that space where I've got my DSLR, my Nikon D700, and I've got my camera phone, my iPhone 4. Right. And a G9. This will replace my G9 presumably. But when you walk out of the house with this, or would it?
Well, for me it does. For me, I mean it's.
And I know I'm behind the times on the G9 or the G12.
I mean, here's kind of where I stand on things. So the iPhone is the camera that's always in my pocket. Takes good pictures. Then this is a camera that easily goes in your suitcase when you're traveling, in your briefcase, in your when you're really traveling light. I carry it around in a little slingshot here where I just want to where I'm just bumming around. Yeah. And then the DSLR for the serious jobs.
So that was the question. So $2,000 is not cheap, especially in this economy.
No, it's not.
So if a photographer is going to invest $2,000 in this, he better be using it, or he or she better be using it for some work. Could you ever use this to do some commercial work? Would you take this on a commercial job?
Yes, I have. It's funny. At the last workshop that I just did, one of the shooters came with an EP1. Usually you almost always see Canon, almost see Nikon, and then a few odds and ends. But now I'm starting to see more people where this is their camera. They like the smaller form factor. They like it has a wireless flash system. So
it does.
And here's one of the things is that I think that because I have a hard time with these 4/3 cameras because I have this feeling like if I can't just shove it in my front pocket, then I might as well just have an SLR. That's kind of the two sides. And then I look at stuff like this is great. The concern that I get into is if I bought a Rebel or if I bought a D80 or was it 8000 or the little smaller
7000.
But if I buy a smaller SLR and a fast 50 or a fast whatever, I'm only going in $400 or $500, $600, and I've got raw.
So why would you get this over?
Why would you get that over one of those?
I think like a lot of things in technology, it's taste. It's exactly what I was saying. It comes down to having something that's a little different, a form factor that maybe feels a little bit more comfortable to some folks.
I do like the option of having those really thin lenses. That you pop on there. Because then you feel like you could almost put it in your pocket, and then that to me, the idea that I could go to something really really nice, but also have a little guy like this. That's a little 17mm pancake. Right. So the pancake. Makes sense to me. Like this with a pancake. And now it's a really small little thing. Maybe I can't put it in my jeans pocket, but I can get it into a.
Here's the way that I use it a lot. There are certain cameras that I use for certain things. I love this for street shooting. This is because what happens is when I go out and like you said, Alex, I love this little lens here, this little 17mm. Right. Hardly takes up any space. But when I go out on the street with this, I don't attract a lot of attention. People really aren't looking at me. Now, if I go out with a big SLR, and go, hey, dude, I don't know you, I want to take a shot.
Now you're a photographer.
He's going, well, no, you're not. That kind of thing. Whereas this, people, they never even look at me twice.
So Derrick, you have a ton of lenses. You got a ton of gear that you're testing and own. How do you reconcile, like for me, right? I got a bunch of Nikon gear. I've investment in lenses and all that stuff. So I have my system, which it works for me. I know what I'm going to take it. Depending on what I'm shooting, am I shooting models? Am I shooting landscapes? I know what I'm going to grab to take with me. But if I love this and I want it, I'm going to take it now. But Yeah, exactly. I feel like I'd be.
I'll hold them.
I know. All right, squirrel. I feel like if I introduce another system into my world, I'm going to complicate things. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, I'm a little different, right? Because this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I look at this stuff, I evaluate it, I write about it. So for me, it's what I do. Now, if I were to put myself in your shoes,
You wouldn't fit. You're way too small for you. I'm just saying.
or some other metaphor.
Yes. You're trying to think of another metaphor and there was none.
I thought of it, I just can't say it.
Please don't.
So if I were in your moccasins,
Your sandals.
Then in all honesty, I would probably keep it to two systems.
Yeah.
And I would have my DSLR that I need to show up with on a professional shoot to get exactly the results I need.
Yep.
But I do want a knock-around camera. I do want a street camera. I do want something that when I want to be a tourist and not attract attention to myself, I want something for that too. And I think what this replaces for me is probably when I was trying to force the G9s of the world, which I love those cameras.
Yeah, they're still tanks.
But the idea, the quality on these and the versatility of these is much more.
Okay, my last question. So you have your DSLR, your beautiful Canon set that you know how to use, you know it inside and out. You have this, you have your G9, whatever.
S90?
I have an S90.
Your
You
S90.
don't use it that much?
Not well.
If you're going to,
I'm using it less and less now.
But you can still put the S90.
still put it in your pocket.
That's actually what I looked at with the S90.
Yeah.
I was like, I can throw it in my pocket. I can take it out.
Well,
and
I love the S90. I really do. But
if you could only pick one though, Derrick, if you're going to Hawaii for a weekend and you have to pick one of these cameras to take with you, only one. You can take your iPhone because you got to talk, but you can't use the camera on it.
Okay. What?
The camera's broken.
No. How do I take pictures of the restaurant menu and stuff? Right?
Exactly.
If I only had to pick one, I would still pick the DSLR. For me, ultimately, that's the camera I have to have. If I could pick two these days, it would be Micro Four Thirds and DSLR.
Okay.
I think we get a free pass on the iPhone. It's a phone.
Yeah, it is a phone.
It's a phone. It just happens to take very good pictures.
Yep. Cool.
That we can instantly send to people easily.
iFi.
iFi. I like the iFi. The only problem I have with iFi technology is cool. I mean, for those of you who don't know what an iFi card is, it's a little SD card that has a built-in Wi-Fi hotspot transmitter in there. So you can plug it into your camera, configure it on their site and through the software to authenticate it against some sites or some hotspots, and you can shoot and upload directly to Flickr, SmugMug, FTP, whatever. So you can shoot and share from and you can also flag different images to lock them before they get. So you could say, okay, I'm shooting a bunch of images, and you can review them later and use the lock button on your phone.
That's the way I use it, the protect button.
Yeah, so you use the protect button, and only the ones that you protect will get uploaded. So it's not everything you're shooting is getting uploed.
And you can send them to your iPad too now.
And I didn't know you can send them to the iPad.
Oh yeah.
Huh. So I like it. The only thing, I don't know if they've come out. I know it was on their roadmap to come out with one, but they don't have a CF card, or they didn't have a CF card version.
It's a big bummer.
And I use my cameras use CF cards, so that's the problem.
I think of the iFi as
and RAW, and I tend to shoot RAW, and they don't support RAW.
Well, and to me, the thing that I get excited about is the idea of having.
Oh yeah.
They shoot RAW. They support RAW.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can upload RAW.
Yeah.
Oh, I stand corrected. I sit corrected.
Now, here's another thing. You can upload RAW, but
do you want to?
Yeah, I know. Exactly. The event is over. 20% done.
It's not only that. That's a battery hit too.
Yeah.
It's everything else, and so. Because one of the things that I think is cool is when I'm taking, I've done some experiments where I'm taking photos and I have a MiFi that my iFi is looking at. And so I just feel like I can have my little MiFi.
Right. Yeah, it's communicating to your personal hotspot. Yeah.
And then it's going to the internet from there.
Or I could do it with my new Verizon phone that has a personal hotspot.
Why, yes, you could.
This episode
is brought to you by Verizon.
It's not.
Yeah. Anyway, but the
Verizon, if you're listening. No.
yeah. So the anyway, so I love that idea. You know, one of the things I'm looking at doing is doing a whole bunch of time-lapse stuff. And I'm going to leave that camera there for 4 days. And just in case anything happens, what I don't want to do is come back and find out that the camera's gone or is broken or crushed or anything else. So I want that thing sitting there just uploading. I'm going to hook it to a big battery, and I'm going to let it just sit there uploading all the time so that if anything happens to the camera, I still have my pictures. You know,
so what happens while I was doing that, and then you see like this big, you know,
you see that video?
like
a pelican takes it away.
You can't do anything about it, can you?
Well,
you just look in horror.
What happened?
Well, no, I mean you're watching the stream, right?
Oh yeah.
So what if something does happen? You're like watching the crime, aren't you?
Yeah, but at least you got everything up to then.
Okay.
You know, that's the whole thing. Is at least because if they took it and you didn't have that, then you know, when I use time lapse, except if I'm standing behind the camera, then I'm using an SLR or whatever, and I have to admit, I don't know if I should say this on.
You should say it.
Say it, please.
I have a tendency to rent SLRs when I do time lapse.
So you can beat them up.
Well, it's not that you beat them up. It's that you, well, in a way,
you distress them.
So they happen to show up missing.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with there are a certain number of times that you can act. So,
are you a Nikon shooter?
No, I'm a Canon shooter.
Oh yeah, because Canon still doesn't. They don't keep track the way that Nikon does. I mean, the user can't see how many actuations there are.
But typically it's about 250,000 actuations. And so the issue that I get into is I don't want to burn up
your camera.
I figured they rented them. They, you know, that's part of the cost.
It's like a rental car.
So
right?
you know, no one's going to rent from me again. They're like, Alex Lindsay off. You know, because now we rent 5Ds for interviews and stuff too. I have 2 of them, but sometimes we want more than that. And so anyway, those are that. So when we're doing those, I get SLRs if you're right behind it. Otherwise, I tend to get, like, my favorite one still is a Ricoh R10. I've talked about it on the show before. It's not disposable. It's still expensive.
It's disposable. Listen to you. It's disposable.
To a 5D.
It's only $12,000.
No, it's a couple $100. So, but I mean, from a production perspective, you get a bunch of them. And here's the deal, is that it does 10 megapixel images. So what you can do is if you want to do a movie and you have a 10 megapixel image and you want to zoom in, you can zoom in on it, and you've got a bunch of stuff to move to.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of cool.
That's the advantage that it has. Now the GoPro will do 5 megapixels. And the GoPro is great because it's almost indestructible and it's really cool.
Love those cameras.
The challenge with both of those is getting like solid power that they can just sit there for a long time. And that's what I haven't really. That's what we're testing this summer, is figuring out how do we get something. And if you have ideas.
You're pointing at the TV.
If you have ideas about ways to, what I'm looking for is how do I build a battery pack? And I'm thinking of using, the battery pack that they used to sell or they still sell, Hypermac batteries that are these big batteries for your computer. I think I can power one for a camera for days on one of those.
Wow.
So I'm
just a car battery with a couple clamps.
Here you go.
I have thought of the car battery. I'm a little concerned because you can put through a transformer and step it down and everything else. I'm a little concerned, and it would work. But I'm a little concerned if I walk. There's some of the places I want to shoot are
you probably get arrested.
That is a concern. Oh yeah,
I'm taking a car battery.
I'm going to take this little box and I'm going to hook it to a car battery, and then I'm going to, I
just want to see you try to get through airport security with a car battery.
You're right. There's a definite downside to that.
I get a lot of attention.
Yeah, you would probably the wrong kind of attention.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the questions. Oh, so we got a couple questions coming in, and then we're going to talk about.
We got more than a couple there.
Yeah, look at all those
building up. So here are the. Okay, my daughter 13 wants to buy a Nikon digital SLR. Should I buy her one?
That's a great question. I know that's a baiting question to a person that shoots Nikon, and I would say maybe. I would say do the Alex and test cameras first. And these days,
rent them.
Yeah, you don't have to commit and put all the money
Alex
down and buy it. You can go rent a Canon and Nikon and play around with it for a weekend, and then choose one and go buy it.
It's really a choice because it's really a taste thing as much as it is anything else. I think both the cameras shoot really well.
They do.
We're 2 Canon users. He's a Nikon user.
I am. I'm outnumbered.
The main reason that I use Canon, I have to say, is because of the video. So we shoot so much video.
Nikon D7000.
I don't think its video quality is as good as the. I think it's a little bit more wobbly.
Is it?
That's been we played with one and I was like, I don't think it's as good as the Canon.
Remember, your tolerance levels are higher than most.
They are, but
or
I'm just
lower
saying,
than most.
If video is a primary thing that you want your camera to do,
Canon.
then you want to go Canon.
Currently Canon, yes.
Currently Canon.
That's true. It's
They're doing the little.
Yeah.
No, actually, it was Canon. Canon.
Nikon was like,
Nikon is like.
And Nikon was looking over there going, what are they doing over there?
What is this motion stuff that they're doing? I have no idea.
They're selling a lot of those, and maybe we should put some R&D on it.
Let's call a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Then we'll have our people talk to their people, and so anyway,
Exactly.
so Nikon fell way behind on the video. I think I have to admit, so I used to be a Nikon shooter, and I have to admit that I like the Nikon action better. I think the autofocus.
clunk. Yeah.
No, I just like the way it feels, and the
Yep.
way it fires. I think that the autofocus is faster and more accurate.
I agree, actually.
Than Canon. So I think that I think that the low light is amazing. I mean, and
Agree on all points.
yeah. So I think that
So if you want those things, then probably Nikon. If you're shooting video.
Except I want to add one thing, and Alex actually touched on this. At some point, I mean, granted, they both make great cameras, you know, but at some point it comes down to something that's hard to put your finger on. One person will like the menus and the way the camera feels on one, and one person will like the other, and they won't be able to exactly tell you why. And I think that's where that thing comes in that you guys are talking about. I think you have to play with both of them, and one of them, it's like picking a puppy out of the litter. One of them will come forward.
That's right. That's absolutely
be
right.
the right one for you.
and the rentals are so cheap now. The thing is rent a Canon or Nikon for a week or two, and then rent the other one for a week or two, and really do it in times that you can actually go out and shoot.
Yeah, I agree.
And play with them, and then once you buy it, you know, just start. You know, I always say, you know, we talked about this on the show, but you know, get a fast 50. You know, get one or two other lenses, but then just rent and find out what you like, because you don't want to start getting way into the
lens thing.
The lens thing,
because that'll lock you in.
Yeah,
that'll lock you in.
Chats.
So anyway, so the so that's that's what we say about DSLRs,
and just a basic question. Should you get her a DSLR regardless of the brand? And my answer to that is, if she's asking, then the answer is yes.
Yeah. When did you get your first SLR?
I got, oh God, I hate to admit this, what it was. It was an Argus C3. Yeah, way back.
Wow.
Rangefinder, 35mm camera. But I was in 6th grade.
Wow.
I was in 6th grade.
My first DSLR I got it in 1989. Is what they issued to me in the Air Force. It was Nikon F3.
And I got a
beefy with a motor drive.
It's a man's camera.
It's a man's camera. Yeah, you can kill people with it.
Well, that's why you had to be
it's a weapon. You know,
you could drop it out of a helicopter.
Right.
You could, and I did. I did.
It survived.
It survived. The lens was damaged, but you know,
The camera was like,
we were hovering
a little
at
bump
tree
there.
height. It was like eucalyptus tree height, and I dropped it, and the lens broke, and the camera was fine. Put another lens on it.
There you go.
There you go.
It's a Nikon commercial.
I got a Pentox K1000 when I was 10, and so it was all fully. And I think that full manual thing. I think that is one thing kids these days, you know, kind of are missing. You know, is really understanding. So definitely make a deal with her that if you're going to get it for her, that she puts it all in manual and she learns how to use take full advantage of it. Because if you're not going to put it in manual, if you're not going to take advantage, and really dig into it, you might as well just get something a little bit more automatic. Okay, so with the economy sucking as much as it is, I don't know.
It's a question.
This is a question. Any ideas on getting traffic to my door? I spend a lot of time and money with no results. I'm assuming your business door.
Yes.
And we have the video for you.
Yes, we do.
We
I
had
knew
the
you were
video.
going to say that.
Oh my goodness. All right,
Yes.
so where is that video?
That
Is it
video, you can pull it up. It's on Vimeo right now. It's not on our site. We actually took it down from the This Week in Photo site.
Why did we take it down?
Because we took it down.
Okay, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, you can just go to my videos on the top, on the left, right there. No, to the right. Oh, left. One more, right there. My videos. Boom.
The other left.
There it is. Click
so
on that.
if you go to, and we're going to post this. Okay, so if you see it, you can see it up here on the screen right now. So this is Sandy Pooch. Pooch. This is the best talk on commercial photography that I have ever seen.
And you said that during the talk, too.
I did. I was in the middle of the talk, just going, "Oh my!" So we went down and we did the whole mixing and everything else. And I'm sitting there watching it because I have to admit, on the way down, I was kibitzing a little bit, like, because this is a 2-hour drive.
Yes,
and
for a 2-hour
on a Sunday,
talk.
And my wife was very unhappy with me.
Yes.
And anyway,
she's probably unhappy with me for making you come down to do it.
We don't want to talk about that. So Sandy, and we can jump in. Oh, we don't have audio coming out of this into the mix. But we'll show. She talked about how she markets her photography, and she is hitting every single thing that you can do effectively. I mean, just the way she sets it up and the way she organizes it. And
she went through everything. I mean,
and what's great is it's authentic. It's totally inside of taking care of people. And making sure and taking, what she understands is what the value is, what she's giving them, and she understands it really, really well. And she's just so good at all the little pieces, and also she's just so much fun to listen to.
Yeah, she's just a dynamic speaker.
It's not. There's not a lot of attitude. There's not a lot of whatever. There's just like this is. I can't believe she was sharing everything that she was sharing.
Yep.
And so. You got to see this video. It's 2 hours long. We're really getting into these 2-hour long videos, but you really want to do yourself a favor and watch this. It's totally worth it. So check that out. It's just out. This is the first time we've talked about it.
Yes.
We'll tweet it.
We will tweet it.
So we'll put it out and make sure that everyone knows where to get it. But it is, so that's all I'm going to say about this question, that you need to watch that video, and then you can come back to us and ask a question. If you have a question after that.
Totally. Yeah, we're gonna embed this on the This Week in Photo site shortly, so you'll be able to go there and then comment and do all that stuff. But the cool thing about this is we do these meetups every month, right? Hopefully Derrick will come down and do a talk. But we do these meetups every month. They usually last about 2 hours. This video that you guys are going to see is the meetup from beginning to end. It's like you're sitting in the audience watching this presentation as if you had came to California or whatever and watched this thing. So it's really good. It's well put together. And you can see how dynamic she is. You didn't edit this at all, right? So it's just all the way through.
I put frame on the beginning, frame on the end, compressed.
That
was it. So
and there we go, and it's live.
So that's the definitely check that out. You have to see it, and she's awesome. So, what will Nikon need to do in order for you and the quote unquote industry to switch from the 5D Mark II?
Good video from it.
Good video. I'm not attached.
That's it. So you're not brand loyal then. So it's not like, I don't care what Canon does.
Here's the thing: is I haven't bought that many lenses. So I had $8,000 of lenses, which is not a lot compared to Derrick, but it was a lot for me. And I had $8,000 of Nikon lenses. I got upset that Nikon wouldn't give us an SDK to control the camera. I moved away so that because Canon was much more open about that. And then the video stuff came out and we started using it. But that stung so badly that I had to sell those 8,000, and I gave some of them away and sold some of them and everything else. That I just never really invested as heavily, and now I have a Fast 50, a 24, a 24 to 70, 70 to 200. So those are my camera. Those are the lenses that I own.
Gotta get that 16 to 35.
I'm not a big zoom guy.
Oh, I know, but the 16 is the f2.8 all the way through. It's on the 5D. It's
16 to 35.
Yeah, well, I just shot. I just used it the other day for the balloon shoot, and I got right underneath these giant hot air balloons that were like this with the 16, and you just feel, you feel like you're right there.
Yeah, I like primes. Yeah. I like them to be small because I carry my camera around a lot, and so I just get impatient when I have a big lens hanging off, and so and I do like to go. I actually spend a lot of time in that 2.8. In the 3s and so on and so forth, but I do like to be able to get open especially at night. So anyway, cool. But I don't care about the brand.
You don't care about the brand? You're not brand loyal?
No, I'm not brand loyal.
I think, I mean, for my 2 cents on that particular question, it's interesting because the 5D for all the things, 5D Mark II, for all the things it does wonderfully, it does a lot of things very average. I mean, the focusing on it is average, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think okay is being kind.
Yeah, I think okay is being kind. The frame rate on it just drives me nuts, the 3.9 frames per second. So...
And, so little things that Nikon does that I really like.
See, I don't even have to defend Nikon here. I love this. This is awesome.
We're taking it bracketing. Okay, so for some reason, I had to buy a ProMote, which is this external controller, so that I could do HDRs with 9 exposures. And yeah, you can with a Nikon you just hit, and it just goes. And with Canon, you're stuck with 3, and I have no idea why.
Actually, someone refuted that on the forums or someplace.
On my 5D, I
think it was on Facebook. They were saying that that was untrue. So if someone could chime in the chat room.
Chime in the chat rooms because
can the Mark II
Here's the thing.
Do more than 3 frames?
Here's the thing, though. And now here's where I come back to the Canon side of things. It might be able to do it, but can you find it in the menu?
It's like buried 7 levels down.
Because that's the thing that drives me nuts on the other side of the fence there. But at any rate, we're going to see a new version of 5D. They're going to improve some of these things.
Always.
Nikon. So again, I think it comes back to the one that resonates with you. That's the one to go with.
Definitely check that out. Are we planning to do anything on Motion 5? Oh, that's a Final Cut one. Yes, we're going to do tons of stuff on Motion 5. Motion 5.
Should I download that? Do I need that?
Oh my goodness.
You said $50. You said get Final Cut, so I got it.
What do you think?
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm in love with the app. I just need time to play with it. But Motion is sitting there. Awesome. Motion and Compressor were sitting there. I'm like,
here's all I want to say.
Do I need this? What am I going to use it for? What if I bought it? What am I going to use it for?
Here's what I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
I did 200 visual effects shots for a feature film.
I'm not doing that.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But if you wanted
it's a $50 application that does all of that.
But it's going to be $50 on my hard drive.
So here's the deal: is that if you want to do really cool, I mean, it's Animoto is awesome. There's a lot of slideshow programs that are really great. But you want to start really stepping it up and having things go, and
like
pull back in and have control. Here's the thing:
you want to throw stuff out of focus into the background and all that kind of magic.
And so the thing is you want to build all those things. Now here's the difference between Motion and After Effects. So if you want to have a lot of control, every little pixel and every keyframe, you want to use After Effects.
Yeah.
But if you're a photographer that wants things to fly in, and with Motion you have behaviors. So you can say, I want this to be here, and then I just want to throw it that direction. Or I want to do this really quickly. I want to move that over. And Motion will do all of that stuff for you. And once you get into and then it's got all these particle systems that'll have you can have like a sea of images. And so you want to start, stepping up your video animation to the next level. I mean, your still animation to the next level.
Here we go again, spending my money.
$50 though. I mean, it's like, I have to say, it's just like I was so excited at $300 because I thought it was a huge value, and then they put it into Final Cut Studio, and I was mad because I was just like, this belongs.
But at $50, is it a?
It's the biggest value of the new.
But is it a hobbled version of what was in the previous Final Cut?
It's more powerful than it was in the last version.
Yeah. Now the one that I'm a little disappointed with is Compressor is slow.
It's not any different. It's 32-bit.
Yeah.
It's not any real different in the features.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're just like, okay, they were like, and we need to give you a compressor.
Yeah.
we're
throw it in there. Throw it in there. Yeah.
I love to shoot okay, and by the way, we are going to talk about Final Cut X next month. I'm going to talk about it as it relates to. We're going to talk about Final Cut X. As it relates to photographers.
We're going to have some.
I was going to try to do it this time, but I didn't quite get it.
That is a conversation because that is who it's designed for. It's designed for us.
It's designed for people who are going into video, not people. The people that you're seeing complaining about Final Cut X online are people who are in video. They are high-end pros. They've been doing this for years.
And they're vocal.
They know what an EDL is. If you don't know what an EDL is, then Final Cut is for you.
But I know what it is, and it's still not for me, though.
Exactly. Well, the thing is that there's, and especially as you look at photographers having to move into as photographers are having to move into more adding video to what they're doing. They don't want to learn all the stuff. They don't want to know all that stuff. They just want to know, how do I throw the stuff in and get it working and have it,
Make it look
together. And for that, I think that is the big opportunity.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing for that.
Yeah. So
Derrick, have you been using it?
Oh, I love it.
Like as a photographer now?
Because I have deliverables. I'm a photographer, but
that's why your opinion is critical. Because not that yours is, but yours is critical because you're working with like doing this stuff.
Half of my deliverable is video now, and we all know how much time we have to turn this around. We don't. I mean, we're in a hotel room. We want to go to bed at some point, and you got to deliver a video. You got to get up on YouTube, for Vimeo or whatever. So for me, oh my gosh, what a blessing!
Bam, bam, bam.
Wow.
So
I haven't heard those words since that thing was released. Oh my God, what a blessing!
Yeah.
in relation to Final Cut Pro 10.
You know, there's been a handful of people.
You'll hear it more, though. You will hear it more.
Okay. You have to look at the people who are complaining. A lot of times, you know, there's always this echo chamber online. There's a lot of people complaining. That doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, there's 2 million people who own Final Cut now, and there is a handful of people that are really upset online. You know, you know, compare. You know, it's a scuff off that if every professional editor that's working on TV and film dropped Final Cut tomorrow, it would be less than 10% of that market. You know, that's the thing that and the folks that all they do is hang out with people who do that think that everybody's upset, but not everybody's upset.
And just to be fair about it, the people that are upset have a reason to be upset because it really has, you know, it's messed them up.
It's a different program.
It totally messed them up. Yeah. So, you know, I have empathy for them, but at the same time, I'm so happy to have it.
Really?
Yeah. I'm so happy.
All right, so I'm going to download Motion right now.
Yeah. And here's
Can
the
I
other
step
thing.
away?
Well, here's the other thing is that this is the time to learn it.
Yeah.
It's really simple. You know, and
it's going to get increasingly complex as they add on to it.
We were talking about the complexity. I was talking about the complexity of Photoshop. You know, and I was talking with John Knoll, wrote Photoshop.
Oh, just hanging out with us.
But he had a really good point. I only say that because this was his point, not my point. His point was. He said, you know, when most of us started using Photoshop, I mean, he started very early. But when most of us started with it, you know, it was a simple application. It was a handful of things, and then things added incrementally.
Yeah.
So we slowly added our skill set to it. And so for a lot of us, Photoshop isn't. But now, if you get into the professional version of Photoshop today, you are.
It's a different ballgame.
It is like it's like this crazy amount of information. Well, in some ways, Apple, by cutting all that stuff away that makes all the experts upset. You now have a simplified interface, and the time to get on board is right now.
Well, that's the way I look at it.
You're going to learn how to use it all, and then Apple's going to add multicam.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. You know, you look at like in the App Store. Not to make this an Apple thing, but in the App Store on the Mac, there's these applications. I think one of them is called Acorn. Have you seen that one? That are these just slimmed down image editing applications that are almost iPhone, iPad-like in nature, where here's my image, this effect. Put it on Facebook, you know, that kind of thing.
And Pixelmator, Acorn, these are all.
It's like they're going in that direction away from where Adobe built this giant, over the decades, Frankenstein that could do anything you could possibly throw at it, and they're saying, okay, let's take a step back from that. Let's just do this thing.
And they do it really fast. Because they're using they're using GPU much more heavily than what Photoshop's doing. So there's and they're inexpensive.
Yeah, like $50.
And it really comes down to what do you need? What do you need?
Okay. I'd love to shoot on a Fuji Finepix X100, but for the price, I can almost get a 7D. Have you played with the Fuji?
I have played
what do you
it.
think?
It's nice.
Derrick, you say that about all the hardware.
But no, it really is.
Oh, more hardware. I need it.
I can't afford it. I can't because I can't justify with things like this and all that. But it's very nice, and they just did a firmware update that fixes most of the nits that people had with it.
Right.
So now it's very nice. It's it's a luxury item. It's something that you treat yourself to. Is the way you have to look at it. It's just like if you're going to move up from
like a fine wine.
Yeah, or if you're going to move up from I don't want to diss any car companies, but from
a Yugo, they're gone.
There you go. There you go. From a Yugo to an Audi, it's a good way to go.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's a beautiful camera.
Well,
any news on D400?
I don't know.
No, I haven't heard anything.
And if we do, we couldn't say anything.
No, I'm not at liberty to say because I don't know.
I heard some video news about Canon.
Uh-oh.
Big stuff coming in November.
Oh.
That's what I've heard. But that's video. Video cameras, not still cameras.
Oh.
Not 5D cameras. That's like video.
Like big stuff as in big stuff or?
Like big stuff, video. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, cool.
Any news on how an iFi can integrate with Apple's new iCloud photo stream?
Nothing other than what they reported. They said it was an open API, so
probably not
iFi
yet,
could integrate it if they wanted.
iFi guys are smart. I'm sure they'll
probably
get a
got
wire
it done
together.
already.
Yeah,
I'm sure they got it done.
Why choose CF over SD? Speed? I think it's because that's what the camera's coming.
Yeah, it's not a choice.
Carolyn, if you have more questions, if there's more questions here, then go ahead and fire them up. We had one is TWiP website membership being integrated in Pixelcore. No, that's TWiP website. So so when will the next gen of 5D come out?
Well, we have our guesses.
We have our. When is your guess?
By the end of the year. Yeah, fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in late summer. So, because you look at the one that's out now, the Mark II is we're about 2.5 year mark. That's about the pace to go with the 5D, which is a good pace. I like that pace. I don't want a new camera every year in that thing. I don't want to spend $2,800 every year.
Yeah.
So
it's like a subscription plan.
It's feeling about time. And then if you just look at the features on the 5D Mark II and you look at what's coming out on the 60D and the other, you can feel it.
Right. And by the way, someone said they thought that the Final Cut X for photographers was this week. We talked about that on TWiP. We said that was going to happen, and I wanted to shoot an interview and edit it all in, and I just wasn't able to get it turned out. I was in LA for a day, and I wasn't able to kind of sort that out. So I apologize. That's my fault because I was supposed to do it. But I'm going to do it next month.
It'll happen.
So, it'll happen. What is the best video editing software on Windows? I don't know. Maybe Vegas? Well, I mean, the best video editing software is between Avid and Premiere.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the two that, Vegas I was thinking kind of smaller editing. But yeah, if you're really looking for the best on the platform, Avid and Premiere, and they're two different things. I think one of the things about that is that if you want M1 tank, gonna build big feature film, I think Avid is still on a Mac or PC is still the best solution. If you really want the tight integration between Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects and Sound Booth and all the other things that are going on there, if you want that type of thing, if you want integration with the Red and integration with lots and lots of native codecs, I think Premiere is a better solution.
Yeah, I lean towards Premiere.
Yeah. So those are the
Premiere is surprisingly powerful though.
Oh, it's very good. And
I before Final Cut came out, and even now still, I boot up Premiere and I'm just blown away at how clean the interface looks. And not that I'm see, that's the problem though, because I look at Premiere and I'm like, well, okay, it's kind of like the Photoshop world. There's more stuff there than I'll ever touch.
And that's the that's what they're moving towards. What would be a good? Do you need an electronic viewfinder for the small ILC cameras?
I'm leaning more these days towards yes on
really?
that. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, if you're really, remember we were talking about what would you use this camera for? If you're really going to have a camera that you're going to use in almost all situations,
right?
I think you need the viewfinder. I do, because that's one of the things. The DSLR, you get to look through those optics. It's matted out. You see, it doesn't make any difference what the lighting is. You see what's going on.
And the question is this a pen with an EVF in front of us?
It is.
And the answer is yes.
Yes.
That's what this is. If you
this is an accessory. This is an accessory.
That comes with it. Yeah.
But I just don't see using an LCD in all lighting situations. The back.
What is a good starter camera package for getting into DSLR? $500 to $750 range.
Derrick.
Well, I mean, on the Canon side, the new T3.
Yeah. Oh, the new T3.
The new T3, I think, is a great choice. That'll put you right in there. They're showing up in the discount stores. You get a stabilized kit lens with it, and you're right in there. So,
I have a tendency to not get the lens.
Oh,
the kit lens?
I would in this case. I would in this. Yeah, you get a stabilized lens, and you're out the door. And the thing is, if you ever want to sell the camara, it helps you sell it.
Yep.
But I would probably go with it for most folks. And then on the Nikon side, what do you?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't been down in that area because I buy cameras and then I use them. So I have my two cameras that I've had for several years now, the D700 and the D3, and that's so I'm not shopping. I guess I should look.
Yeah.
Talking about using Wacom tablets in editing and post, I just got one and would love tips.
No pun in.
Yeah.
Because you wear those out when
they're awesome. One of the things is make sure that you calibrate it well. When you get I have I have a Cintiq and an Intuos and a Bamboo and
like you're using them on a daily basis.
I don't know about I don't use.
Like, are they mouse replacements on any of your computers?
No, they're not mouse replacements.
Okay.
They're required usage for like smoke. I mean, you just have to have that, and then which I'm learning.
For smoke, what is it?
Smoke is we're not going to get into that. That's a video. It's a video.
It's a program that we don't care about on this show.
Smoke is we're about to do a bunch of training for the Pixel Core and for Autodesk and Smoke. It's a big compositing package.
Oh, okay.
And it's really designed around the Wacom. But I travel with the Bamboo all the time. A lot of times to give feedback and to sketch out ideas. The one that I end up doing, I know this sounds crazy, but the one that I end up doing work on, if I'm retouching, is an Intuos. So I have an Intuos that's got more resolution than the Bamboo. Actually, when I'm doing touch-up, I don't like the Cintiq. So when I do retouching, the Cintiq drives me a little nutty because I just can't, it's over top. I kind of don't want it. I just want the cursor. I know this is kind of the Bamboo is great because it's almost indestructible and it's cheap. And I can just slide it in my bag.
$169 or something like that?
$100.
$100?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to get into
4-inch, right, or whatever.
It's like, it's like a little, but it's like this big, and you can put it in your backpack, and you can carry it around, and you can draw, and you can do, and with the Bamboo with Sketchbook, Autodesk Sketchbook or Sketchbook Pro. Sketchbook is like Sketchbook Express is free, so like for a sketching piece, it's just really, really awesome. Make sure that you calibrate it well. Also, really play with the pressure sensitivity that you have there, because if you don't get that right, you feel like you're just pushing into it, or you feel like it's going crazy every time you touch it.
How many levels of pressure does it? 256?
The Intuos I think has 1024. The I believe the Bamboo has 256. And then the Cintiq I think is 1024 as well. So it's great. It is great, and especially when you're trying to do a lot of fine, detailed retouching and fixing things. I don't find that you need it that much if you're just kind of doing correction and so on and so forth. That's kind of a waste. But if you're really retouching things and like rebuilding parts of those and that kind of thing, it takes a lot of stress off your hand, especially if you feel like you're going like this a lot. If you feel any pain, in here, get a tablet. All right. I'm not a Mac user. How would you compare Premiere Pro versus Final Cut? I hear a lot from both, and I know Premiere. The thing is you really can do both. I mean, both of them are great. If you're especially, they're both very powerful. As I said, I think that Premiere is. I think Final Cut has market share. I think that the new one is really straightforward if you're getting into it.
It's going to get a share of a different market.
I think Premiere. I mean, I watch. We were just having trouble. We were trying to import some footage
into Premiere.
Well, we tried to import it into Final Cut, couldn't get it to work. Took it into Premiere. Oh yeah, I can handle that.
I had the same experience.
Yeah. And you're just like, and I was just like,
And so Premiere's like, oh yeah, come on.
Sure, I can handle that. So Premiere is, I think Premiere Pro is very, it's turned into a great application. A lot of us remember the old 4.2 days.
I remember that.
And the scars that are across our back trying to get projects done.
The horses that they put on the package were running across us.
Since we're talking about Premiere, how about Premiere Elements?
I haven't used it.
I've looked at it. It seems good. It seems good. It handles transcoding and all that sort of stuff. Right. So, and very affordable.
Talk about how to break into photographer assisting realm. Quick tips.
Find a photographer.
Most of them would love to
ask them to assist.
Find a photographer.
And I would say find a photographer that you like their work.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you want to say, oh, I want to learn from that person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my own story, I was an editorial photographer as a kid. I worked for the local paper, and did all that stuff with Stringer. And I got in my 20s, and I wanted to learn some commercial photography. And I wasn't able to go to Brooks, and so I assisted for a commercial photographer and learned how to use light boxes and learned all those tricks and everything. Worked for free, but it was wonderful. I had a fantastic time. Sure. But the way that I did it was that I sort of stalked him for a while. Made friends.
We're not recommending that you stalk.
Stalking is illegal.
Sort of made friends with him and all that sort of stuff, and then just worked into it. And I liked him as a person, and I liked his work, and it was great. I did it for about a year and a half.
Some cool tips for that as well are frequent forums, like Digital Photography School, the TWiP forums when they come back up. There are meetup groups in your area, go out and join those and just integrate with different photographers and talk to them, and then, like Derrick said, make friends with photographers who you admire. If you want to shoot models, go to like Model Mayhem, sign up for an account there, look for photographers, because both photographers and models have profiles on there. Look for people whose work you like and see where they are, reach out to them and say, hey.
And all of them need somebody to carry stuff around and put
They
stuff
would love
up
to have
and move
you
stuff
along.
around. So they would love to have you wander around and help them. And
It's a great job, actually. I use them as second shooters all the time. I love having that different perspective. They're great for grip, you know, holding my photo disc and all that. And you learn a lot.
There's a lot of classes that you can take. There's a lot of training you can take. There's a lot of important shows you can watch, like this one. But I think that the best way to do it is to be doing it. And doing it by yourself is not really the solution as much as doing it with other people.
I agree.
And more importantly, doing it with other people that know as much or more than you do. I think that's a big piece of this, is to make sure that, because that's how you're going to really, if you're just out there shooting your own photography and everything else.
No feedback.
The other thing is, I think it's really important to do it for clients. What I think makes me better is when I'm working for clients who don't care what the problems are. They don't care what the, they don't care why technically that doesn't make any sense. That's just what they want, and so they make requests that are hard, that are frustrating, but that's what they want. And I think that is what pushes you forward. So I think doing things, if you find a nonprofits are probably the hardest clients, because they have oftentimes, they're very passionate about what they're doing. They just care about that piece. They are somewhat tunnel visioned. They don't have as much business sense oftentimes, not all of them, and they have no idea how much that really should cost. And so doing pro bono, and then you can do pro bono work for them. Doing that work can be grueling, but it trains you. It helps build, and you make a lot of great connections as well. If you do a great
helps
job.
people too.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. And I think that's all of that stuff.
Yeah,
pushes things forward.
By the way, I'll give you a really good inside tip on this whole thing. Invite, once you find a photographer, usually someone that's accessible to you in your local area, buy him a cup of coffee. Just invite him or her to
to a public place.
To a public place, and say, I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee and and have half an hour and talk to you about photography. I almost always do that, and it works out real well. So
you get a lot of free coffee that way, don't you?
I get a lot of free coffee. Yeah,
there you go. That's really the whole key to that. How much was that camera on the table? $8.99, is that right?
$8.99 for this with the kit lens, and then
the body with the kit lens.
Yeah, and then this is going to be $7.99, and then the 45 f1.8, that's going to be $3.99. $3.99, which is a lens I'm dying to get my hands on.
It's just so cute. It's so cute.
So, have we noticed a trend in eliminating the blacks in images using curves? People making things a little bit. I haven't really noticed it.
No, not really. No.
It might be out there. I just haven't noticed it. And people do like things punchy. There's been a little bit of a punchy look.
Yeah, I like my images punchy and oversaturated and defocused, or selective focused.
Exactly. Any tips on concert photography or sites to look for?
Concert photography. Well, check with Aperture Expert Joseph Lenashke.
He does a lot of that.
He does. He does a lot of that.
That's a good tip.
He's toured around with
Seal himself.
Seal and Nine Inch Nails, right?
It's harder. It's harder than it used to be, because now you pretty much have to be embedded.
Yeah, totally. But he has on his site and on his blog. I know he has lots of. I think he was blogging while he was on tour with him, and he came on the show a while back and debriefed on what it was like to be an embedded concert photographer with somebody like that, and it was really interesting.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work apparently, and a lot of repetition, because you're bouncing from city to city and same song, same emotion, everything.
I kind of like that though, because it means like you can slowly build.
Okay, he's gonna cry on that corner of the stage. Okay, let me go.
Yeah, exactly.
This time I'm going to get it. This time I'm going to get it.
This time I'm going to get the tear.
If you have any other questions, go ahead and keep on port. IRC or Twitter, it's at PixelCore, CORPS. But you can just Twitter at PixelCore, or you can actually just go up to our IRC that's there, and I think there's an email on PixelCore Live. So anyway, and we're going to keep on answering a couple questions. We're going to stop here. We're going to go ahead and let the questions stack up. So Carolyn, just go ahead and stack these up. And Frederick is going to talk about Google+.
Yes, I wanted to talk about Google+. I just got invited to this thing yesterday. Thank you, Trey Radcliffe.
Which is better than me. Not that I'm bitter.
Well, Doug Kay and Trey Radcliffe invited me.
Yeah,
so
lots of people have told me. A lot of people have told me they're going to invite me, and then they said, "Oh, I can't."
I can't invite you now. Apparently, I tried. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. Anyway, the crux of what I want to talk about is what is it for? What is it for? I like it. It's beautiful.
And how does it relate to photography?
How does it? Well, look down here. So are we? If we're showing the screen here, like I'm looking at this is my stream, right? So, which is very Facebook-like. It struck me at first.
What are we gonna make it look like? Oh, I think we're gonna create something completely new.
Yeah, it struck me. But it looks like they pushed it forward in a couple of areas. But the first thing that struck me is, okay, I'm already on Facebook, and I got a lot of stuff. Do I want to start another network of friends? But then when Trey invited me, of course I'm gonna look at his stuff. So I clicked on his image, and look at this. Right? So look at this presentation of your images on Google+. Not only do you get this beautiful, almost full screen image here, but the conversation of comments down the side here, which is awesome, cool. Which is really cool. And then down at the bottom, you have the thumbnails of all these other images that you can look at. Trey does some crazy work.
Boy,
Trey needs to just stop shooting.
Nice job, Trey.
Making us all look
That's
bad.
Beautiful stuff.
But yeah, so you go in there, and then you can add your comments to it, and all these people see it. So that's
That's cool.
So you have a little kind of a running conversation.
It's a running conversation that then shows up in your feed here.
That's slick.
And you see another one, boom. But check this out. I think if you go into actions, photo details, woo! It flips around like that. Isn't that cool? This is on a website.
They're like, how far can we push HTML5?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
All the way.
Yeah,
but
and
so you can see all the metadata.
You can see all the metadata, and I think this is even a histogram for this image right there. And you can click through the images and see not only the histogram, but the image and all that stuff. So that was really cool.
That's awesome.
This is as far as I got into my exploration of Google+. So far, it seems really promising, and I didn't immediately say, okay, this is like I did with Wave. I played with Wave for a day.
I don't understand.
And I felt like, I felt like one of the apes in 2001 or something. I was like, what is this?
It turns out that even
it's full of stars.
We weren't the only ones, though.
Exactly. So now
it went from even a caveman can do it to even a rocket scientist is confused.
Exactly.
Yeah, but this looks great.
It looks really.
This is the first time I've actually seen it because I haven't been in.
You haven't been invited. You're not in the cool club.
Okay, but I want to talk about this for a second.
Yeah.
So we're is there like a little page here that says why we're doing this?
Why? You know, they have on the Google blog. I don't know if I can get to it from here.
They're doing it because
they have a bunch of videos up there that talk about why. Well, they don't really talk about it. They just demonstrate the different features in there.
Okay, I know.
I have my own theories.
I want the why.
My why is because Facebook is out there. Yeah. And Facebook is scary to Google, so they have to do this. So who knows?
I agree. I think Facebook's out there. They're like, how
plus one equals like button. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Well, and the plus one is Google wide.
It's internet wide.
Yeah, internet wide. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, why? For instance, I have an invite.
Yes.
And that I just got, and I haven't responded yet because I haven't had time. In all honesty.
Yeah.
So, do you think I should do this?
I think you should play with it. Yeah,
I'm a Flickr guy.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like I said, I just literally accepted that invite last night. And I popped in there, and I accepted a bunch of people, 13 apparently, into my circles. But it automatically, I had a Blogger account from, I don't know, 900 years ago, and it sucked in all my Blogger information. It pulled in my profile photo from Blogger. I think it created a Picasa account for me. That was during
your dark period there, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I was not feeling well. But it pulled all this stuff in, so when I actually got into my profile, it was almost done.
Yeah.
It pulled in all the data from all these other sources, aggregated, and made this profile for me that I could just tweak, which is kind of cool and a little scary.
Is it like integrated with other things, or is it like, do we have to just go like right here?
I think you're right here.
You're right here.
I think you are. Yeah. You're going to plus, and I think this.
I like
it feels like a platform.
It's very clean.
It's very clean. It's very un-Google-like. Sorry Google, but it's very un-Google.
I heard the rumor that someone who was working on the Mac interface, original Mac developer, actually worked on this, and I think that you can definitely tell.
You can feel it. You can feel it.
It's a lot. It's just a much cleaner interface.
They kicked the engineers out of the room.
Yeah.
And said, okay, let's
get that it'll be cool, but you guys got Wave, and we get.
But my problem with Google Plus is, clearly, like I said, I just started using it less than a day ago, but I already got all these social networks. I've got Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all these different networks, and I'm getting instant messages all the time on my phone, like so-and-so's here, does this, boom, boom. Now this person's following you, this person's not following, you know, all this stuff, on and on. Do I really want another one in my life, you know, or is this one going to kill all the other ones?
Well, and then there's the other one that has been on my list I want to check out. What is it, 500 pixel?
Right, that's more of a Flickr.
Yeah.
That's more of a Flickr sort of, you know, alternative.
Right.
Yeah, I interviewed those guys. So yeah, and it was.
It sounds interesting.
When the interview goes live, you're gonna love it. Those guys they're hungry. They're small. They have the right ideas.
They got big teeth.
They got big. Yeah, they have the right ideas, I think, in my opinion, about what makes or what photographers want on the web, which is big, glorious, beautiful images that they can share easily, and you know, that kind of thing.
But not so easily that someone else uses them.
Right. So yeah, well,
no, that's a big thing.
You're not going to stop that. I mean, you know, if you show a big image on the screen, you know, it's just Command 4.
I just always think it's funny that you put up these big images and then you get upset that people are using them, and you're kind of like, well, that's what's going to happen when you put them up there.
Yeah, and that's Trey's argument. Trey Radcliffe, his argument is, if people use them, then, you know, as long as they use them and they're not getting paid, he's okay with it.
If they're a big enough company, I will sue them and make lots of money.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a business model, apparently.
Can second curtain sync be overdone at wedding receptions?
Rear curtain sync.
Can it be overdone?
Yes.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Any technique can be overdone. I'm shooting all of your shots.
Everything is.
Yeah, everything has its place. However, I do think that at the right time, I like them during like the first dance and things like that. After I shot some first sync stuff. Yeah, I think in there is nice, but yeah, don't do them all that way. Client might not like it.
Don't do anything all one way. Unless you're really, really good at it.
Yeah.
Question: Aperture versus Lightroom. The classic.
I love that question.
And then we're gonna do RAW versus JPEG.
We can do that too. Then Nikon versus Canon. We already did that. Apple versus Windows. Or okay. The short answer to that is there is no correct answer to that. I don't know why I'm looking at TV when I say that. There is no correct answer to that question. It's just like we were talking about with which camera to buy. You know, they're both, you can download them both for free and play with trials and see which one you like. You can't say, I use Lightroom because I like it. It works better with the way my brain is wired, but Aperture may work better for this person.
And I use Aperture mostly?
Right. It doesn't matter. You know?
Yeah, the answer that I usually give, because they're both great, and I actually teach them both. You know, I like them both. But at home I use Aperture, and the thing that I ask, are you mainly integrated into the Apple environment or the Adobe environment? Because I think, and then obviously if you're on Windows, it's an easy call. I would definitely go Lightroom. Yeah. But if you use the Adobe apps, if you really like Photoshop, if you illustrate, all that sort of, if you're in that universe, Lightroom integrates better. If you're in the Apple universe, though, if you like having a photo database that is your database for your Mac, so that when you're in Mail, when you're basically anywhere you want, in Final Cut 10 now,
in Final Cut 10, it just, all your images just show right out.
I love that. The videos don't show up. They got to fix that.
That's interesting.
I was like, what?
But I mean, I just pull them right out of my Aperture library, right into the timeline, and then boom, you know, I put a little crop on it, off you go. Cool. So I think it depends
Aperture
on
is Apple
your
only,
universe.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Aperture puts all my files into one place.
Now here's
I don't like them everywhere. I like it just puts them in a big thing, and then I have a vault. I say take those and put them in there. You know, and I just want you to back up.
You like the ease of use. Just do it and tell me when it's done.
I can go into it. It's not like they're disappearing somewhere. If I needed to go in, but you know, you're going to get committed no matter what. If you're doing any kind of metadata correction, I mean, if you're doing any kind of post corrections, you're committing to one or the other. You're going to lose the data. It's not like it's going to be ever easy to move from Lightroom to Aperture or Aperture to Lightroom. Right. But I like the fact that it's all just kind of manages one clump of my photos that are all in there. Yep. And it's really one clump. I mean, it's like a history of my life is all in my Aperture thing. I mean,
you're backing that up, right?
Yeah.
What?
You're backing it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I love that. You know, I love that I have all the stuff and it's really easy for me to find. And anyway, so
$89 too.
Someone
$89
would like
bucks.
$89.
That is one thing. $89 for Aperture. So
what's Lightroom at now?
Oh, well, it depends.
More than $89.
More than $89. I mean, if you pay full box price, $299. But then you can usually get a deal around $249, and if you're in education, get it cheaper.
I thought you were going to say if you have some friends.
And I have to say that if you're on a Mac, it's a real that's a real tough one, is to go to something and spend that much more.
Yeah.
What you do, of course, get is better correction tools. I think some of the correction tools in Lightroom, I think, are.
Oh, the develop module in Lightroom is fantastic.
I love it. And the other thing, just to close it up, my muscle memory is trained for Lightroom. I've been using it forever. Even if Aperture, unless it came out with something like that was just fantastical, magical, I'd probably stay with Lightroom just because I just want to edit my images. I just want to get them in there. I want to tweak. I know exactly how to bring up the crop tool and mess with everything. I'm in, I'm out. It's uploaded. It's on Smug.
I think the real thing before you go to the next question is, though, if you're not using something to manage your photos, then that's the real issue. I mean, I think you need to have some sort of strategy, because these things are just going to pile up all over your hard drive. And
if you have a Mac, I mean, iPhoto is great. It does a great job, And the other thing, by the way, is that if you don't want to make books, which I highly suggest, then you're really on the Aperture iPhoto world. And if you go on a big vacation and you print a book, your wife will be really happy. That's all I'm saying. It's just
you've done this.
I have.
Yes.
So what I did is we went to. I had stacked up all these miles and all these extra hotel.com things. So I took my wife to St. Martin on points.
Wow.
Don't tell her that. She thinks I spent a lot of money on it. So anyway, I probably shouldn't have said
she's
that
not
on the live.
listening, of course.
No, she's not. And that's the best part. My wife
and this is not
listen
going
to
on
anything.
YouTube, right?
And she won't watch it there either. So the thing is, my wife doesn't watch anything that I do. So I can talk about her, Twitter about her, all this other stuff.
That's awesome.
And so we went to St. Martin, and what I did, we'd shoot all day, and she was really annoyed with the fact that I'd get her to do stuff, and I was constantly taking photos. But I sleep about 2 or 3 hours less a night than my wife. So I would get up in the morning at like 4 when I get up, and I'd spend a couple hours correct.
4 a.m.
Doesn't everyone get up at 4 o'clock in the morning? So anyways, how can you get anything done in the day if you don't get up at 4:30? 4:30 sometimes.
You get up to go to the bathroom.
So exactly.
I go back to bed though.
But I would spend a couple hours every morning correcting photos and putting them in the book and adding little captions while it was all fresh. And you could find other time. You could do it in the middle of the afternoon if you like to sleep in. But the point is that I liked it because it was quiet and my wife didn't know. And so then literally when we landed back in the U.S., because the bandwidth in St. Martin stinks. So when we landed in the U.S., I uploaded it. And by the end of the week after we did our vacation, I had this great book, that I did of us having fun. And now my wife, if I want to take photos, she's just like, let me at it.
Nice.
There's these great, she's,
That's awesome.
and
That's awesome.
and
this
so
is a cover shot.
yeah, and it's, hold on. I think I can show you. Anyway, so I'll let you guys answer it, and I'll find you some photos.
Sure.
That show you. Okay, so, whoa,
Noise
people went
reduction.
crazy here. Describe second curtain sync.
Well,
So say there's a car, Derrick, flying down the road, and it's sort of at dusk, and you want to use your flash, and you want the trail of this car to be behind
it.
the moving vehicle. How do you do that?
Second curtain sync. So the way that it works is that the flash can either go off when the curtain first opens, or the flash can go off when the curtain's closing.
And the curtain is the shutter.
Yeah, the curtain's the shutter. And it's the easiest way to think about it. By default, most cameras, the flash goes off when the curtain first opens, which means if you're doing a long exposure, like we're talking about, any motion actually ends up being in front of the subject, not behind it, where you kind of want it.
Yep.
So if you go to second curtain sync, you have the flash go off as the curtain is closing, and then that presents a more natural sort of ambient motion, as I like to call it. So that's the way that works.
I like that. That's like the name of a band. Ambient motion.
Ambient motion, that's sort of.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can have that one.
All right. I'm going to start a band.
And
here we are.
I don't know. So this is what happens after you do these photos, and you go to France. See, my wife like looking. She's looking. Look at this. She is like looking for excuses to take fun photos.
That's awesome.
There's a couple of them that were just classic, and she's gonna be so upset that I put these online.
That's awesome.
But
you're a very brave man putting your Aperture library up here.
He does have a different room in the house where he can go hide out.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, the
what kind of cigar is that?
so these were Cuban cigars they're Cuban cigars in a in France. It was kind of a.
Oh, okay, good.
And this is I think this is my I think that's currently my.
Who is that?
FaceTime. That's me. and I would like to say it is me. And I would like to say that I was I really enjoyed smoking that cigar, and then I was so sick. Oh my gosh, I do not smoke cigars.
I tried it once, and that was it. Never again.
I still
Apparently I did it
but
wrong. Apparently you're not supposed to inhale it down into your toes.
Oh no, I don't do that. Yeah, I stay away from.
Depends on the effect you're going for.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if you're going for, if you're going. So anyway, here, this is the classic photo.
Oh, I love that.
But the thing is that the. Oh, and this way. There you go. There's the photo. So anyway, the thing is that you don't get photos like that when you don't get photos like that until she knows that you're going to put them in a book and you're going to have to do this stuff, and it's like she's having fun, and the two of us were hamming up all through Paris. We had a shoot there. It was for work. I was there for work, and she was there for work, and but of course at night we were hamming it up.
Smoking cigars and drinking drinks. Yes,
in mojito in France. Yeah,
well,
mojito in France with a Cuban cigar.
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome. Anyway, so the point is that you want to do that, and there's lots of fun stuff, and all this stuff means something. So,
awesome. See, and that's why I'm using Lightroom.
that
right there.
Okay, fine.
You can turn that off.
We're just gonna
exactly. Pay no attention to the progress bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn that off.
So anyway, all right, hold on. Let's see here.
I think we more than answered that question.
We did. That was we
went into bonus points on that.
No camera rumors. Is Lightroom 64-bit?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
They were actually 64-bit first, I believe.
Yep.
My only beef.
Yeah.
My only beef with Aperture is the noise reduction and lens corrections are not as good as Lightroom.
It's amazing in Lightroom. That lens correction is just insane, and the noise reduction gives you with a camera like the Nikon D700, it's like a new camera almost.
Yeah.
You can shoot in near darkness.
He's absolutely. Those are two things that Apple needs to address. Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about what to include in an estimate for a commercial photography shoot.
Ooh, Derrick, I want to know this.
Well, first of all,
I'm not a commercial photographer.
First of all, it's the old thing where you go over every detail, you find out as much information from the client as possible. You do it down to the 10th degree, and then you double it. Because at least, then you don't, because this is no way to really anticipate all the things that are going to happen, even with a lot of experience. But one thing that I think is important, and I'll be curious to hear what you think too, Alec. I think the better I get to know the client, the more I talk to the client, the more I write things down beforehand, the better my estimate ends up being.
Well, you really want to get into the details, and the thing is that you want to be really asking, where do you want me to be, and what do you want to do, and how you want to do it. And now the one thing I will say is that I pay attention to a lot of those details. I tend to not talk to clients about all those details, like what everything costs and everything else, because what happens is it goes into their head and they're thinking about all these little bits,
right? And
it creates this decision process that's much more difficult for them.
Yeah.
Where
I don't talk about the cost either. Then
I don't talk about like I say like this is how much it is,
Yeah.
and it was like I've had clients, and I do commercial photography in a different way, for corporate clients and other things, and I've had clients dig into like, well, tell me how much you're renting the camera for, and how much are the day rates and everything else, and I literally won't work with the client, but the way I explain it is I was like, when you go to an Italian restaurant, do you ask how much they're paying for the tomatoes? No, you're not asking how much they paid for the wheat. What you're asking for is how much is the spaghetti. The spaghetti is $28.
I like that.
That's what and the thing is,
$28.
it's really not good spaghetti. So anyway, right across the street here at Robisi's. I just hit something and I got really short. See, I was doing very well. I was taller than them, and then I shrunk, and now I'm back to being taller. So anyway, so when I put my foot back, there's a little thing here that I'm hitting.
So audience, you too get these chairs. Woohoo!
Yes. You can play with the amazing.
So I do the plus system. So I do I try to get all the information, and the shoot, the product is this amount plus expenses, and I break travel and all that plus supplies. So I do cost plus.
And I just do one number.
You do one number.
I calculate it all in there. I mean, my job. Now the thing is that
yeah.
there are times when I take it badly. You know, like there
well,
are
we all
definitely
do. We all do.
But I also, because I'm making one big thing, my client doesn't have to worry about how much the flights are, and then are arguing with me on how much I paid for them and everything else. And if I get crushed in some area, like for instance, I'll just use miles. You know, like I'll make those I'll make those decisions because I'm accountable for it.
Right.
You know, in a way that you know, their job is to worry about that. You know, I gave them that last number, and it's a very risky way to go in some ways. But I think that for a lot of times, I think that it makes it less stressful in some ways for the client, where it's my accountability. And there are times when I don't do well.
Well, how do you handle logistics? Like, you come up with that number.
Oh yeah.
How do you communicate that to the client so that, you know, is it you do like a FreshBooks thing, QuickBooks? You know, how do you get that out?
No, the actual estimate or bid is very simple. Yeah. So it's for the shoot itself, you know, for the product, the deliverable as we call it, and then I just go ahead and figure out, you know, my estimate on travel and so forth. And but I usually do turn in receipts.
Okay.
So
so they have all that.
So that number isn't inflated or deflated or anything. What it is what I charge them. I do give them an estimate on that up front. Okay. And then supplies. The reason why I broke supplies differently is because sometimes they will start asking for props models, things like that, and there's really no category for me to put it in. So that, you know, that's the third category. And I do get a deposit. I think a deposit.
So you're doing electronic billing? Are you using PayPal or anything like that?
No, I just have my own invoicing system that I use. Yeah, I do accept PayPal though. I mean, I think PayPal's great.
Square.
Yeah.
Have you seen Square?
I have. Square.
But do get a deposit because there's a certain commitment that comes with a deposit.
Okay.
Let's see. How do you have you got your hands on the Blurb ProLine books?
I heard they've come a long way with the
I've heard good
books.
things. I haven't done one, but I have heard good things.
Let's see.
Rumors.
I mean, the thing about Blurb, I think that's interesting is that it was started by photographers scratching their own itch, really. I mean, you know, and so they have photography roots, and so they take things like color management and all that very seriously.
Yeah.
Do you carry contracts for clients to sign off on changes that they make during the original shoot?
I'm gonna guess no.
No, I don't. And this is where I'm more like you in that once we sort of come to a place, and I try to anticipate. I anticipate a certain amount of change because people are people. But I don't, once we come to a number, I want to focus on the shoot then. I don't want to be thinking about, I don't want to talk money during the project itself. So I stay away from that.
And I just assume that it's my job to kind of figure that out.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and it's my job to decide how far I want to go.
Yeah.
You know, and I throw a lot of extras in. You know, if you know, I calculate everything. But if I can, I'm going to bring extra gear, and I'm going to bring extra, because what I always look at is, now you have to be careful about that because you can set unrealistic expectations if you're working with clients. So a lot of times I'll tell them, this is extra. You know, like I'm bringing it, I can't promise it all the time, I can't, you know, everything else, because they will expect it at some point. But what I'm also looking at is, when I show up at a project, you know, this is whatever I'm shooting is the resume for the next thing I'm shooting. You know, for that client, it's a great experience. For other people in that company who see it, it's a great experience. For new clients, it's a great experience. You know, they look at it and they go, I want some of that. You know, we did a show. The thing that has, we went all out on one that. Let's see if I can find this really quickly, and you won't see the. You will not hear the audio, but we did one. For a company called, we did it for Salesforce.com, and it's but about a company called Fireclay, and
ooh, can we watch it?
What I love about Salesforce is that as a small
so we shot this with 5Ds on Steadicam, and there's Jib. You know, on the 5D, and we really pushed this one hard, and so many people, you know, talk about it.
Oh, this feels great.
You know, and it's just, and you know, it's just a really great feeling.
It feels like you're right there.
Yeah,
it really does.
Really nice.
Yes.
And but we just get, you know, it was a day of shooting, you know, grabbing all.
This is one day.
It's one day.
Yeah.
It might have been 2 days. I will say I didn't do the shoot. My brother actually did a lot of the shooting, and this is the kind of stuff that Rebel Unit, the other company that I have that does most of this production, this is what they really focus on. So the Pixel Corps does more live stuff and more other stuff there, and Rebel Unit does a lot of this kind of product and client stuff. And so anyway, but it's just a really great, and it's led to so much work.
Wow.
But that takes that whole, we bought a bunch of new gear. We figured out, so we got this crazy jib that you can push down to make a slider, and then it's a jib. It's a porta jib makes it. It's called an Explorer. We got a little Steadicam, little pilot Steadicam to shoot some of the stuff. Got it's just been it was really rewarding. But we went way over what that budget called for. And paid off in over time. You have to always look at that, especially when you see something that's going to be a great experience.
Yeah.
And when people have a really small budget, I try to figure out a way to work into it. Like, how do we cut stuff out so that you can get what you want? But I also explain to them, hey, this is a small budget.
Yeah.
And if you make many changes, we're not going to be able to accommodate.
You're on a tightrope.
Yeah, and I think that's a good conversation to have, before you get to the shoot.
Yeah.
What was the shot on this particular piece?
Sorry, I just
that piece that we were looking at.
That's all. The fire clay on was all shot on the 5Ds.
And edited in
Final Cut.
Final Cut.
Yeah, that was all edited in Final
Cut 7
with some 7. Yeah, but that was a while ago. We did that 6 months ago or whatever. So,
do you think you could cut something like that in Final Cut 10?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, that would be a great thing. I mean, that kind of stuff is like built for. That's why I want to do some interviews and do some stuff. And we just weren't quite able to get it off the ground for this month, but for next month we're going to shoot it. So
sweet,
awesome.
And I think we're gonna let's see here. We're gonna ask one or two more. We're gonna answer 1 or 2 more questions, and I think we're gonna close it up.
Okay.
I think I'm starting with a Canon T3i. Is this a bad idea? 1855, 18-135. My focus is video, but I want to learn photo too. I think that the Canon is a good one if video is your focus.
Agreed.
I think that the 1855 or 18-135.
18-135 now, definitely. And
why?
I like that little extra reach, and it's good quality. I put it through its paces, and I was pretty happy with it. Yeah, I actually hated to send it back. It was a review thing.
Yep.
And also articulated screen on T3i is very nice. You have audio input.
Right.
It's good camera.
Is there affordable $800 Nikon DSLR that shoots good video? No.
Negative. Not $800. The only one that I think that shoots okay video is a D7000, and that's in the how much $1,700
range.
It's
in there. That is a nice camera, though.
It's a beautiful camera.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love that camera.
Yeah.
But it ain't $800.
So this is our first one, the inaugural.
This is it. We made it through the fire.
Yeah.
We did.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, this is a great time. I hope I get to come back.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely. And we're gonna have a lot more fun with it when you're watching this stuff. This is all gonna change. We'll play around with it. This is just the way it looks right now. The studio isn't really done yet. I think that's the bottom line. We're just we're just trying to figure it all out.
Still insanely cool. It's not done, but it's insanely cool in here.
It's getting there. And so we're gonna be doing more. Next week we're doing Gear Media Tech, so GMT live, and that is gonna be all video. Awesome. So that's what we're going to talk, and we're going to talk about motion.
I may come and be in the studio audience for that.
You should. You should. You guys are both invited.
Yeah, that'd be.
People who are on the show, you're invited to come in. There's beer back there, and we don't have a lot of people, so we might have to get really drunk.
I'm totally coming.
So we're going to be doing Gear Media Tech. We're going to do visual effects, so Inside the Black Box live the week after that, and then we go back to Mac Break Studio, and so that one is lining up. I can't talk about who they are because they aren't all confirmed yet. But that's in that first month. Like, this is the first one we've done. In that first month, though, in August, people are now starting to like. We're bringing in some vendors to show some great stuff. And it's.
And we're going to be doing eventually. We're able to do like workshops and things in here, right? And broadcast them live.
One of the things we wanted to be able to do is we want to do workshops and eventually make them. This is a different step. So we have GoToWebinar from Citrix, which we love. We use it a lot. But there's a lot to be left to having lots of video, and you can cut between lots of cameras. These are all things that we want to be able to do to really go that next level of training. So we're going to be incorporating a lot of that into here. We're also, one of the things I want to do is get you guys in, get other people in, to do a shoot. Like we hire some models, we do a couple things.
That's fun.
All over
and then
it.
let people watch us, you know, and go from there. And we now have a place to play. Oh,
Maybe we'll do a little mini meetup up here. That would be cool.
Yeah. Well, this is a mini meetup. The idea is we're not going to fill the place with people, so it's going to be like invite, and we'll have people. We'll tell you, you know, we'll do something on the site that lets people know, like they can sign up, and we'll randomly grab some people that want to come and everything else. And so
that'll be fun.
It'll be like 5 or 6 or 10 people that are from the audience that can come in, and then we'll have some people from Pixel Core and some people from TWiP and so on and so forth. So this is just the beginning. We're just still kind of figuring it out. I promised that I was going to show the.
Oh, the green screen.
Oh, yeah.
So this is.
You could actually.
I don't know where the seam is.
You could do a car chase scene in here. With people behind.
So that's the screen.
Look at that.
Oh my
this
gosh.
this is.
Look how huge that is.
This is a big curve. So
Wow,
this,
so you got a sweep and everything.
Yeah,
That's
so
gigantic.
and it comes out. The green screen comes out to about right under where this table is.
It comes out this far?
Yeah. So
Oh
you
my
can,
gosh.
We totally could do like.
Yeah.
We're going to.
We could do some special effects in here.
We could.
Do you
The
realize
problem
that
is
you
that-
can key off of that?
You can pull a key. Just like that.
And put anything behind you with that green.
Really?
I'm telling you. Yes.
Technology today.
That's crazy.
exciting.
That's
Yeah.
crazy talk.
Derrick, where should people go to find out what you do?
TheDigitalStory.com. Everything is there. Everything is there.
Nice. Nice. Me?
Frederick.
FrederickVan.com. That's it. And
And,
I keep looking at the TV instead of this.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna
should
put
put
the
it
TV.
show-
Yeah.
put it up
no,
there.
we're working on getting a teleprompter so you can like look into it.
Oh,
and see
very
something
cool.
else.
Yeah.
Building a giant. We're gonna build the biggest teleprompter ever.
FrederickVan.com or thisweekinphoto.com for the show.
And if you want to see more of these, if you want to get more stuff, Pixel Core, follow Pixel Core on Twitter. That's the best way. Go to pixelcore.com as well, but follow Pixel Core on Twitter, and then also you can follow me for Alex Lindsay for goofy things on Twitter.
Random
every once in a
musings.
while I'll tell you that the stream is starting, and that will be basically packed between that will be.
And that's the only way to find out if the stream is starting, right? You're not doing email blasts or anything.
We're not
like
doing
that?
email blasts right now. We are. What you should know is that generally 6 o'clock on Thursdays is when we're aiming to hit everyone.
TWiP.
If by 6:15 you don't see anything, then we screwed something up.
Yeah.
And we'll probably Twitter that we didn't do it.
Yes.
But and we'll put something up on the page if we're not going to do it that week. But generally 6 o'clock on Thursdays it'll be a different show. It'll be monthly, different monthly meetings, and we're starting on Thursdays. We've got some things we're thinking about for Tuesdays, but we're not going to start. We want to figure this out. We're still figuring this out. Before every show, we're kind of just getting it to work.
It's kind of fun.
So it's
kind of
a
fun.
little chaotic. So anyway, so thank you so much for tuning into our first TWiP Live,
Yes.
and we will see you soon online.
All righty.